Hi, everybody. I'm James, and welcome back to Storytime with James. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave me a comment if you like. All right, this one is called Three Strikes You're Out, Roman. Yes, man, I used to love dogs. Back in the day, I used to love dogs. Actually, I had a German Shepherd named Chemo right there. I had a German Shepherd named Chemo that I have trained. I Schutzhund trained him. I Schutzhund trained him and taught him all commands in German and stuff like that. It was real cool, but he tragically died. He got cancer. He died. So that's the thing. The thing about animals, dogs and stuff that I really don't care to have one because they don't live that long. They'll live probably for 15 years, but that's it. Then it's all downhill. Then they get so old that you can't. I don't know. But this particular one was a dog that I had. He was a wire haired terrier and a Chihuahua mix. Yeah, he was a wire haired terrier and Chihuahua mix, and we kind of coexisted real well. Real well. Because he was 6 months old when I got him. Again, because my ex-wife had him at first, and then she gave him away. So I said, "Hey, why did you give my dog away?" She said, "Yeah, he was around." I said, "Forget it, man." I went back and I got him. I got him from the people that she gave it to, and that's it. And I took him home and I began to raise him. I trained him. I trained him, real good, and he was a good. See, he was so small though. He was so small. He was a small dog. He's like Chihuahua mix and wire hair terrier. So he was nothing. He couldn't do nothing, but he was a good sound dog. He was a very good sound dog. So he would sound off if somebody tried to come in the house or somebody came to the door or something like that. He would sound off. So I say, well, I guess he's doing his job. Because I didn't want a dog if they didn't do a job. If they weren't protecting me or something like that, or barking when somebody comes around. So so me and him, we coexisted real well together. Matter of fact, we was like this. Matter of fact, and he was there when the tree fell on my house. That day when the tree fell in my house on my and on my car and stuff like that, he was right there, and he 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 endured with the lights being off for like, I think it was like four days or maybe a week with the power out. So we had to survive through that, man. And he's right there with me. So I don't know, man. Like when I first started doing these videos, he was around, you know. So anyway, one day, I used to let him out in the backyard. I used to let him out and turn around and walk in the house and finish cooking or washing dishes or whatever I was doing. And I come back and open the door, call him, and he comes right on in. But this particular time, I opened the back door and called him. He didn't come in. So I went outside looking for him, looking in the backyard. I went on the front, looked all around and everything. Couldn't find him. So I said, "Man, what is this?" And I couldn't have found him that whole day. You know. So I figured, I said, "Hey, he's too little to be out like this." But then I end up next morning I woke up, he still wasn't around. And I started feeling some kind of way, you know. So I got in the car, and drove around until it was time for me to go to work. Then I went to work, and I told everybody at the job about Roman wasn't there no more. So we uh we created these flyers. So I had a lot of flyers, about a stack of them like this, and I was going sticking them on poles and stuff. With stapler gun, I had a stapler and some tape and stuff, and I taped some to the pole and stapled some to. I stapled them everywhere, all the way to the house, you know. So after that, like the next day, this is day two. Somebody called and said they had them. So I had to go, like, it was about a good 15-minute ride, 10-minute ride away from the house. And there he was. And he jumped up in the car and everything, you know. And she said, well, he's yours and stuff. So after that, I took him home. I got him home and I said, man, what you run away for? And I told him, if you ever run away again, that's it for you. Ever run away again, I'm not coming to look for you. Because I put a lot of time and effort to try to find this dog. So after that, he was cool. You know, I would go out and cut the grass, and he would be running around out there and everything. Then, it was like a couple of months later, like about maybe 2 or 3 months later. It was I was in wintertime. I went out to let him back in, and he was gone again. So I said, man, what in the world? And once again, I went out, got in the car, drove around trying to look for him. Drove around the block, drove around the block, drove around. Couldn't find him, you know. So I said, well, forget it. Next morning, my neighbor, boom, 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 knocking at the door. So okay, I went to the door, and there he was. He was holding him. He said, hey, is this your dog, man? Because my neighbor had dogs over there. Like, he had goo gobs of dogs, you know. So so he gave him to me. I got mad about it. So I told him, I had got a cage for him, a big cage. So I said, man, forget it, man. You're going to stay in this cage from now on, you know, until you get yourself together. So I put him in a cage, you know. Boy, what happened then, like about a couple of weeks later, he escaped again. And I went out looking again. I was looking. So I said, man, forget it. That's it. No more. Because I never had a dog to run away like he did, you know. And a dog that little running away. So I finally made the decision. I said, man, I'm tired of worrying about this dog, you know. I said to myself, and I asked my neighbor, was he over there? He said no. So after that, man, I just said, forget it. That's it. So I took his cage, put it outside. I took all of his stuff out of the house. I said, that's it. No more dogs for me, you know. But the next morning, my neighbor knocked at the door. Don't. Here's your dog. I said, take him out of here. You can have him, all right? He said, yeah, man, what? You don't want your dog, man? I said, no. You can have him. Because apparently he don't like being here, you know. He wants to run away, so you going to keep him. And he said, well, I guess I give him to my son or something. I said, do whatever you want to. If you want a cage? I got a cage. I got collars and leashes and everything. And dog food. So I put the dog food outside too, you know. So, well, I checked on him. You know, just last year, I think he said that dog died. You know, something happened to him. I don't know, but he told me it ran away from him too. It ran away from his house, and it got beat up by some bigger dogs or something. I don't know, but it was messed up, man. That's why I never put my time and effort into a dog anymore. I like dogs. I wouldn't mind getting one, but I just don't want to go through that no more. You know, it's a terrible thing. And plus they don't live that long anyway, so that's it. All right, you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave me a comment if you like. And hit that bell notification. Hit that bell notification so that you know every time I drop another video. And share, share, share. Share my videos with your family. Share my videos with your friends. Share my videos with your loved ones. And even share with your enemies. Peace. Adios. Salamat.